Back there?
Yes, so the main character is so ambivalent. You know, he's kind of a jerk, but he's also really tender. And I was wondering about that final scene, the decision to presumably embrace him, as opposed to just turning off the light without her embracing him. Had you considered the opposite, or what are we supposed to take from that?
Well, you're supposed to take what's on the screen, but
But I mean, I was left, I thought the light's gonna go out, she says, turn off the light, and we're left with this kind of picture of loneliness, and we feel kind of ambivalent about it, because
but
we
it's
kind of
not-
feel
it's my
bad for him, but
job.
and then she forgives him, or
But it's
something
my-
happens in that embrace.
It's my job to make sure that you're surprised. I'm not wasting your time taking whatever train you've taken to come here and see what you expect. Right? So yeah, okay. And having been in dead relationships, I think that's exactly what happens. You have, relationships have these physical conditioning actions that you take. And, you're lying down and you're spooning because you've done that for 25 years, even though there's contempt maybe or whatever there is. You do that. And so that's what happens there are certain automatic reactions you make. And even though he goes through them, at the end you see, yeah.
Could you summarize your understanding of the protagonist's problem as you were developing the film?
Well, I would hesitate, actually, for simple reason that we've chosen an audiovisual medium because that's how that can be expressed. It's hard to say that in words and do justice, because then I should have written a poem or a novel, but the protagonist's problem. One of the films that came to mind when I was it was Contempt, Godard's Contempt, and it's called Contempt, but you see it in a very transcendent way. How, I don't know if you've seen it, the bathroom scene. Now how do you? He gave it that label. Now, if my English was better, I could probably come up with a word. But it's in that direction, Maybe not contempt, but it's called Mailay. Mailay is dirty. It's also a word used in bilingual Karachi for monolingual Karachi. It's like the French, when Sarkozy said, les racailles, for people from the banlieue, the cockroaches. And that's what the rich people call it. So this is sort of like that, and so we inverted the name, socialist. But I don't have such a perfect word as Godard with this, but can't you feel it? Like there's a certain distaste maybe about the whole scene? Yeah, perhaps that's what we're exploring maybe. I think, no, going away from the actual content of the film, I think a lot of filmmakers in Pakistan, even though they come from a certain class in society, they tend to not consider their own experience valid enough. And they go and make films on social deprivation, issues, terrorism, or things that may not necessarily be part of their own experience, and therefore the films can sometimes be a bit vapid and not so authentic, sometimes. So I think that this is maybe an indication that, if you go into your own life, maybe you could search authenticity.
What was the background of this film? Where did this come from?
There are two movies I saw for probably the 10th time, and one was Shoot the Piano Player, and I was just watching it, it's a Truffaut film, and it has a scene where, Claude Lelouch is walking with this pretty girl, and he's trying to gather up the courage to to get somewhere, and then it's too late. And that's something that I think is quite universal in terms of being able to relate to. So, and I was like, well, that's 1959 Paris and 2016 Karachi. That would be pretty interesting to see if that transports. And then there was the other one was La Dolce Vita, where the vita familiarity, the home life and the sweet life, which is the life, the less substantial life of the social scene, that tugged. So that was in my head. Then some things you see at parties, at rehearsals, and you wake up one morning with this story in your head. So that's sort of how this came about.
Yeah, my question is just, films are a good way to sort of, to us, they're a window to a culture, and you're a neighboring country of ours, yet we don't get to see so much of each other, India and Pakistan. So one thing that's commonly known in India is that Pakistan has a lot of musical bands, and there was a setting here where there was a musical band. So just not directly related to the film, the theme of the film, but a window, to your culture. Why is there so much, what's the sort of reason behind there being so much music being made of a certain sort? And that's often reflected in a lot of your films.
It's not my deal, but I mean, there's so many bands, and they, and because of the security situation, it's often very difficult to have a live concert. And people are just playing in their homes, and people show up and hang out, smoke a joint and listen. And so there's a lot of that. And I don't know why a certain type. I mean, I think kids have been playing music of a certain type since always. Maybe since Coke Studio, it's become a little bit more known outside. But there's bands in the 70s, there were bands in the 60s, and I think maybe the influence of Bollywood music is very overpowering in India, whereas we don't have such a thriving popular music movie culture. So I think
some new women, female bands as well, right? Some very well-known female bands.
I don't know. I mean, I try not to look at things that way in terms of when there's an artist. I mean, I don't see art as having a gender, but there are female artists who are playing music, as there always have been. Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about the experience of directing yourself as an actor?
Yeah, how is it? I was wondering, how does one direct yourself?
He's here, Mr. Director of Photography, who's half the time. I mean, I have a lot. I mean, my approach, if I may call it that, is quite arrogant, but it's. There's a book, The Art of Cinematography, by Robert Bresson, and he's one of those who thinks that he's different from a lot of American directors or even Bergman, but he says that actors are just models. They're not what's important in a film. In fact, the more a film is failing, the more you need emotive acting, which is more appropriate to stage. And Hitchcock also said actors are cattle. So I think that all I was trying to get the actors to do is just not act, be themselves, and say the lines that there are. And when someone started acting, that's when someone would stop them. So I would just say my line. And I knew it was blocked on where I had to walk. You're not going to see a lot of emotion on anyone's face except one or two places. So
No, it was meant like more of you're directing your own self and you're not able to see yourself, but the camera is. So that's just that.
yeah, so there are rehearsals, and you watch them, and there's lots of rehearsals. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that part before we get into.
That's going to be difficult.
Yes, so that you see what you're doing.
I think we can take one more, and then we have to move on to mantra. Okay, yes.
When you said that actors had to be themselves, to find that they improvised a lot off the script, if there was a screenplay? You know, was it pretty spontaneous, or did they sort of follow what we had, you know, scoped out ahead of time?
Ooh, I sort of get your question, but maybe you can be a little...
The amount of improvisation, you know, when you say a person has to be himself, usually they improvise, and they don't...
Look, I mean, when we had rehearsals, right?
Yeah.
I just said, okay, you are not allowed to show anything on your face. This is the feeling, and only your eyes can feel it. And let me see if my camera catches it. And there were some people who did that. Others resorted to the crutch of their facial expression. So then we didn't want them. So my direction was, okay, this is how you're feeling. Make sure it is not visible on your face at all. But this is what you're feeling inside, and feel it the way you feel it when you feel it. And then in subtle ways, your body language will have that, and the camera will try to capture it, which is a Bresson kind of a way to do it. But I don't know if that's...
But it sounds almost as if you don't need a script.
Well, 95% of the film had no dialogue, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you, guys. Sorry, I have to wrap it up because we have to move on to Mantra. We are going to now move on to our feature film.
Well done.
Mantra.
That was